It is round 6 here at the Mexican Grand Prix. And how you all doing? We are in the race currently. I know we haven't had short qualifying or the race starts, but I am out of the race because I could not be bothered because the car is absolutely terrible. I never had a worse feeling set up for the car ever in my entire time racing. It's just such a bad track for me. So Lucas is currently leading in first place, Fireblaze in P2, LS3 P3 ahead of Gas. Those guys haven't pitted just yet. Kevin Zurberg has, and Kevin Zurberg has caught up to the back of Gas, so he's going for that two-stop strategy, I presume. Other people, what are they planning to do? Is it a one-stop for them, or is it going to be that two-stop strategy? Because the tyre wear is significantly high around here, as Fireblaze does go into the pit lane to put on a set of the hard compound tyres, but extended set of the hard compound tyres. Surely he can't take those 24 laps, because that'll be a mighty stretch indeed. We might see some weather impact the circuit here, because it does look cloudy out there, as we see Kick overtake as well, as Eric has left the session unfortunately down in P12 in the Mercedes, as we see Milan on the back of a van. These two Dutchmen are going head to head. Of course, Milan Langer being my co-commentator, but he's currently racing for the time being, that as Mummy Nick gets a 3-second etapity in this Grand Prix, which is easy to do of course around the circuit. It's such a brutal high density track as well, as we are way above sea level, which means it's just difficult on the tyres, difficult on the engine, the aerodynamics, etc. As we see a van get stuck behind TVH&L, so there he is on the back of the Mercedes driver as we swoop it through this middle sector, but Kevin Zurberg is right behind Gas as he taps the back of him. The last thing he needs to do is make contact with him. He needs to get himself past clearly to make sure he doesn't lose much time as well, and also make contact with the back of him, because if he does that, then that'll be his race done and dusted. But here we go then towards the final corner. Gas can't fight it. There is no grip whatsoever on that Red Bull as Kevin Zurberg does get past. Indeed, as Lucas is in the pit lane for the hard compound tyres, he's also gone for that extended stint as well on the medium compound tyres to the hard. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what the drivers do here, as a TVH&L is having DRS games with Milan Langer, it seems, as both of them are up into P4 and P5. TVH&L dropping backwards on those medium compound tyres, so not able to withstand the pace of the two Dutchmen ahead of us. But Milan did pick up a 10-second time for speeding in the pit lane, which can be easily done as well. And I think other people might have picked themselves up a warning for that too. So let's see if they pit it. It is only Milan who's got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane then. So it's a shame for him, but Kevin Zurberg is about to take the lead of LS3. As here we go, he's stuck behind in the same place as before. But ideally, you think he would definitely get past due to those fresher hard compound tyres, with the DRS at the back of him and ahead of him. LS3 doesn't put up a fight, knowing that Kevin is much quicker. There's no point of him trying to defend from Kevin Zurberg, because he's going to lose a lot of time himself, so might as well let him go and don't risk contact. So Kevin has dispatched both Red Bull drivers there, as they're both on the same major tyres. So that's quite an interesting strategy for both Red Bull drivers, LS3 and Gas. I think started down in 11th place. He had a disappointing qualifying, as he does go into pit lane on the next lap. It was a McLaren 1-2 back at the Imola Grand Prix. I think it was who was it who was driving for the McLaren? It was Pavel Siem. Yeah, Pavel Siem was driving for the McLaren last week in Imola, and they made it a 1-2. So what a sensational drive for both McLarens, as Kevin Zurberg is currently leading this Grand Prix ahead of LS3 and Milan Langer. So who has got the best strategy around here? Who has made the right calls? It seems Fireblaze on the back of Lucas, and let's see if he can get past here. That's TVH&L struggling just in front of us there in the Mercedes on old degraded tyres, trying to make a one-stop work, but he's fallen backwards ever so quickly as well. The pace has dropped off quite significantly, and he doesn't have those grip on the medium compound tyres. So Lucas, Fireblaze or Octavia will be looking to get past him quite quickly, it seems, without any hold up or hiccups. Here we go, Lucas go all the way around the outside, and that was an easy move indeed. And now next up is Fireblaze to overtake the Mercedes driver, who is dropping backwards like a stone, and he's stuck behind him in the worst possible place. It is so painful being stuck behind a driver in that particular part of the track, because there's no way through unless you try to spin him around and force your way through. But legally, you just can't get past it. It is so difficult, and it's so frustrating being stuck behind another driver. TVH&L is trying to lunge up the inside. I remember when, was it Bottas and Verstappen back in 2019 when they scrapped into that stadium section and Max Verstappen picked up a puncher? As TVH out there really crawling and struggling for grip. As we see Ivan on the back of Milan Langer, who does sustain a 10-second tempo to the Grand Prix as he picks up a front spin on that one. The Haas has gone for a spin. That's upshift, and unfortunately he has gone for a spin in that first sector. Well, at the end of the first sector, this hardcore power tyre is just screaming there, as it's very easy to overheat these tyres. These fragile, hard, medium compound tyres, the Pirelli range, not quite producing the grip some drivers need around here as well, because of the high speed corners, the high temperatures, of course, the profile and nature of the track. Well, is certain, and where the track is located itself in Mexico, it's just brutal on tyre temperature and tyre life as well. So I wonder if drivers started to suffer a little bit on their hard, medium compound tyres. It is a two-sort strategy, I think, but I think the few are going to go for that one-stop strategy, as we've seen a few people extend on the hard compound, on the medium compound tyres on the first stint. As we now fly through this middle sector, we go Gas on a new set of hard compound tyres, as Upshift has retired in the pit lane. We've got the DRS wide open for the Red Bull driver, but the main battle is between Ivan and Milan, as Kick and Lucas behind us. I think Kick made a mistake down in towards turn 4 in the race early on in the Grand Prix. So a big mistake from Kick, which has huge complications for his championship aspirations, as there is a yellow flag out there somewhere on the track in the first sector, as we watch these two foul through turn 2 and turn 3. Ivan on the back of Milan Langer, and it's going to be quite interesting how these two play out as well. I haven't really seen much action between these two in the past, of course. Milan Langer being a commentator in SDN, and Ivan, well, he just started driving on this game as well due to having a PS5 now and the F1 game itself. So luckily for him, but he does pick up a 3-second penalty, so that's going to be costing maybe towards the end if Kick is a threat towards the Grand Prix, which is hovering around that 3-second gap. And Ivan, if he wants to have a podium, will definitely get a podium for sure, because the guy ahead of him does have a 10-second penalty, so he won't be challenged on that one. But our championship contender of Fireblaze, currently in P6, had a DNF back at the Imola Grand Prix, and the Ferrari driver found himself in a lot of trouble towards the end as well. On the hard compound tyres, he dropped away like a stone, and unfortunately could not live with the pace of the people on new tyres, and he dropped away dramatically on the first lap as well after the safety car. Just had no grip at all, and it cost him dearly in the championship as well, as we see Ivan on the back of Milan Langer with the DRS wide open we go. And he knows he doesn't have to attack him aggressively either, because he knows the guy ahead does have a penalty. So he just needs to be patient by this time, think methodically, and be meticulous in terms of battling as well, as both Williams drivers swap places. Kick is on old hard compound tyres. He pitted quite a while ago, unfortunately, and it doesn't seem like it's working so far. The Williams driver just not having the grip he needs, and Lucas has now been free, potentially to catch after Ivan and Milan. He's on the youngest tyres out of this lot in the top 5 as well, so watch out for Lucas. He could be in the charge as he dispatches his Williams teammate, and Fireblaze is right behind as well. It's the good old days, really, between the champions of Fireblaze and Kick, the former champions in SDN all those seasons ago, back together. It's always been like a Ferrari versus Williams type battle, but I think one's got their hands tied behind their back, literally, of Kick, who's on the old hard compound tyres, so there's no way he can affect that at all, as we see Ivan and Milan coming towards the stadium section, and we know behind him Lucas is catching the pair of them, as Ivan just playing with the track limits here, unfortunately, and has a 3-second time penalty in this Grand Prix again, so that's 6 seconds added towards his tally. We're halfway in towards the Grand Prix, and so far Kevin is leading, as we see Milan and Ivan there in a battle together, as Ivan goes left and he overtakes Milan. And good evening, Saveni Hoffland. How are you doing? Are you Duncan's brother or something? As Milan has a massive moment in towards turn 1 on the brakes, as we see he gets a 3-second penalty as well in turn 2 and turn 3. What happened back in 2016? Was it who was involved in that little fight in 2016? Was it Pascal Wehrlein and Fernando Alonso get themselves in a bit of trouble in towards turn 2 and turn 3? Esteban Gutierrez, I believe it was. Rio Haryanto. Well, I don't think Rio Haryanto was there, was he? Because he got replaced mid-season by Esteban Ocons. But I definitely remember a crash heading down towards turn 2 and turn 3. There's been plenty of crashes so far in 2016 in that corner, turn 2 and turn 3. But I don't remember who it was. Just trying to look to see if the highlights are there or not. But I definitely remember Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Ricciardo getting a tangle in 2016. And both drivers picked up penalties on that day too. And I did like Well, the philosophy of this race is just it can be boring because of the width of the cars these days and the turbulent air, etc. So that means overtaking is lesser, and it's just so difficult. Back in 2016-15, we had a lot of overtakes as well. 2015 is when the Mexican Grand Prix came back after a long hiatus, and it was Nico Rosberg who took a victory ahead of Lewis Hamilton on that day as well. After Rosberg losing the US Grand Prix after he spun the car. And I remember when both Ferraris DNF'd as well, because Bottas down in towards turn 3 and Raikkonen too crashed in towards turn 2 and turn 3, and Sebastian Vettel DNF too in turn 8, that left-hander heading towards that middle sector. So this is where Raikkonen and Bottas crashed in turn 4 and 5, as we now thread the needle through 6. Well, I say thread the needle, go through 6 and 7. There was no needle to thread through there. And this is where Sebastian Vettel crashed back in 2015 as well, through this particular part of the corner. Not the first and not the last driver to struggle through there. It is quite a difficult corner indeed. It's just so easy because you run low downforce, and it's just so easy to lose the back end of the car. There's no rear end stability at all with the low downforce configuration on these cars. And now coming towards the famous stadium section as well. We've seen many moments through there as well in the past. Not many drivers make moves going in towards that stadium section. But the top speed was broken, wasn't it, by Valtteri? Was it Bottas in 2016 when he reached the top speed? I am not quite sure. But here we go with the DRS wide open. Lucas has caught up as we head down in towards turn 1. But he's too far back to make any sort of impression on Milan and Ivan ahead of him. As we now head through turn 2 and turn 3 they go, as Hatikas overtakes Nick for P8 on those special hardcore power tyres. He'll be looking to try a blitz to the field if he can. Next target is Octavia on 11 lap old hardcore power tyres. How patient is Lucas going to be? I think Kevin Zumberg has got the race in the bag. It's all eyes on P2 for Lucas and Fireblaze. They're both catching slowly but surely, and if Lucas gets compromised by this battle, if he gets stuck behind those two on older tyres, that could mean Fireblaze could be easily brought in and added towards this fight as well. So it could be a four-way fight with Ivan and P2. It's a McLaren 1-2 like it was back in Vegas last season, with Kevin and Ivan. Those two were teammates, of course, back then. But Ivan is back full-time in the McLaren, and these are good points, if McLaren could get on the podium together as well. Good points for McLaren as the Aston Martin of Octavia goes for a spin. Oh, that's detrimental indeed for his race, and he's out of the equation now. But as we head towards the final corner, we're watching the Williams, the Aston Martin and McLaren all in a battle as we see Lucas pull out to the right side of Milan Langer. DRS for both drivers as we head down towards the main straight we go. Lucas has dispatched 1. Can he dispatch 2? He's getting closer, but not close enough as we head down towards the first 3 corners. Lucas has got past Milan, and next target is Ivan in front of him. That's a nice name there as well, Ivan and Milan together. Nick gets ahead of LS3. LS3 scored his best result back at the Belgian Grand Prix as we head down towards turn 4. So Lucas does get stuck behind McLaren, who slides. He's got no grip at all, as Lucas is looking for different alternate lines there to try and see if he can try and get a better exit on traction against Ivan. But of course, Lucas is too tight through those particular part of the corners. He can't find any way. All he needs to do is be patient, really. There's no need to take any risks against the McLaren driver. He knows it's his position. He knows he's on the best tyre out of these guys, so he knows that he doesn't have to put too much of a fight and risk it all. But he does have a lad at the back of him, and Fireblaze will be brought back into this battle too. The Dutchman is on his way towards the fight. It's a Dutch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow. There's loads of Dutch people in this race. As let's see, Ivan is in the pit lane. Milan gets a massive slide out of the final corner. As we ride aboard with the Aston Martin, the Ferrari driver Fireblaze gets past easily. No sweat about it. Now Fireblaze, he's caught up to Lucas. That's what I meant. If Lucas got stuck behind those two, it means Fireblaze can be brought back into his wake and therefore put pressure on him. And it has done exactly that too. So now Fireblaze has been given an opportunity to get up towards Lucas when Lucas overtook him. Remember, what goes around comes around. Remember, Lucas overtook somebody quite quickly, and Fireblaze was stuck behind the person in the middle sector. Now the same thing's happened to Lucas. It's not karma, obviously. It's just bad luck, bad timing. It's just, unfortunately, bad luck sustained for the drivers. You just got to pray and hope that you catch somebody at the right time in the right place, because it's so frustrating when you get stuck behind somebody in the wrong place. There is nothing you can do about it. It's just about timing and luck. We're headed down towards the right hand. There we go. Coming towards the stadium section now. It is Kevin Zumberg who leads by almost 10 seconds, but of course that'll be brought down due to the tyre advantage Lucas has got on that Williams, but I don't think it'll be enough to try and hunt down Kevin Zumberg. What's going to happen here? There's 30 laps left to go in the Grand Prix. The gap's 9 seconds. I presume Kevin's going to pit again, but what about Lucas, as Milan Langer is in the pit lane once again, and so is Kick, to get off those hardcore powered tyres. They went for an early pit stop, but hoping to compensate later in the Grand Prix, maybe, or compensate early in the Grand Prix, and suffer towards the end of it. Now they're pitted again. Prospect in this Grand Prix, which strategy has worked out in this race? We're about to find out in the last 13 laps of the Grand Prix. Do you know what? Despite me turning up late, etc., despite me not doing any research or any usual things I do to make sure I get prepared for the league, I've done a good job so far, I think. As you can see, my name is down to P14. There's 2 DNFs in the Grand Prix, Jamie Morris and Upshift in 30 to 40. Jamie retired a long time ago, and Upshift retired a few laps ago after he spun out of turn number 5, I believe it was. Octavia gets a 3-second penalty in the race, currently running the P7. Kick, TVHNL, Milan behind him, but TVHNL on old tyres, of course, Milan, and Kick on new ones, as Kevin Zumberg does pit in this race, so he'll have a massive tyre offset towards the end, and let's see if that pays dividends. It should pay dividends, because his pace has been absolutely relentless as well. Just flawless, raw pace from Kevin Zumberg. Of course, Fireblaze and Lucas will go through. There he is, trundling down the pit lane, and the fight is on for Kevin versus Fireblaze versus Lucas, as the 2 Red Bulls get ahead of him, do they? Yes, they do, but hopefully, for Kevin's sake, or does one of them get ahead? No, they both get ahead. Just get ahead. LS3 puts that Red Bull up into P4. So Kevin Zumberg, he has to get past these 2. He can't afford to linger and hang around, stuck behind both Red Bull drivers. He needs to make his way through, but it's easier said than done, of course. It's going to be easier for him because of the new tyres, but don't risk it. He's going to risk it. Down he is, sliding towards turn 4. He's done it. Great move. That's a very risky move, but he had enough trust in LS3 not to make any sort of silly mistake, not to move under braking, not to squabble too hard. Otherwise, it could have ended in tears, and his chances of catching down the top 2 could have ended before it started. Next target is Khatikas. He should be easy to dispatch and have no problems dispatching him, and he hasn't got any problems. So Kevin there has been let through, and I'm pretty sure he appreciates it. Now the real fire begins. I'm going to be realistic, and I think Kevin Zumberg can catch, what I say realistic, optimistic. Oh, Fireblaze, what have you done? That's another 10-second penalty, so they can't go towards the end of the Grand Prix on the hardcore powered tyres. It's just not doable on those hards. But Fireblaze does have a 10-second penalty as well in this race. It's going to cost him, it's going to hurt him so much. He was doing such a solid job towards the Dutchman, but unfortunately, he's been hit with a 10-second penalty, and can have less chances now of scoring some big points. Kick hasn't done the undercut. He rejoins in P7 behind him, but TVHNL, Eric and Lucas and Kevin Zumberg have not got any sort of penalties added to their name, so really consistent, good job so far from those guys. As we foul through turn 2 and turn 3 we go. Milan's stuck in a bit of traffic. He's got Mum and Nick in front of him on the midi-car powered tyres. Theoretically, Mum and Nick should be quicker, but of course he has been struggling for pace all race. So Milan all at the back of him, and we'll see if he can get past him. Should be able to on the next lap, being so close to the back of the Sauber driver. Then it's Octavia next on old 16-lap hardcore powered tyres, and Kick ahead of us in P7. For those wondering why Milan's so far behind, that's because he had to serve a 10-second time penalty in the pit lane, so that's why he rejoined all the way down to 10th place. I had to question myself, thinking, hang on a second, wasn't Milan close towards Kick at one point? And then I realised he had a penalty to serve. Who's that? Aston Martin going slowly there. Who is that? It's not even. They go side by side there. As here comes Milan. Through goes Milan. He takes them both on. He's up into P8 there. Dispatched both of them. And that was a good move indeed from Milan Langer. Those two squabbled over themselves. And Milan took full advantage. Mummy Nick's up into P9 ahead of Octavia. That was light work there from Langer. As we head down towards turn 1 we go. Octavia gets ahead of the Kick-Saber. He does have damage as well. Does the Aston Martin driver through turn 2 and turn 3, so lost a bit of end plate there, and he's lacking downforce. I'm not quite sure what happened to him as they both make contact on the straight. As we head down in towards turn 4 we go. Kevin Zumberg is catching Lucas at rate or not. It's no question when he's going to arrive on the scene. It's not a question of if, it could be a question of when. That's the question. When can he catch Lucas? I don't think Lucas will have any response at all. He's taking those tyres towards the end of the Grand Prix, and those tyres will be chewed up. Look at that, squirming to the corner was the Kick-Saber of Mummy Nick in the first sector. Really desperate, trying to fight for grip, as we see Octavia being overtaken by TVH NL, who puts himself up into P10 ahead of the struggling Aston Martin. And as you can see towards the top two, Kevin Zumberg is taking chunks of time out of the Williams driver as Milan goes on to set the quickest lap time of the race in P8. It's a shame those guys have a 10-second penalty, but oh well, it happens unfortunately to the best of us, or the worst of us. We're just waiting for the inevitable to happen when Kevin Zumberg does eventually catch up towards Lucas in first place. The gap is 5.5, so he's taking so much time out of the Williamses as advantage in first place there. There he is. Lucas knows there's a threat behind him. Big threat indeed, coming up towards behind. The gap is 5 seconds there between Lucas and Kevin as they make their way out the final corner. There is absolutely nothing that Lucas can do, unfortunately. He's going to have to accept defeat really, but P2 still a good result. I don't think Khatikas can catch. He can't. He's in P3 and on similar age of tyres as Milan picks up another transition in this Grand Prix. Another infringement there from Milan. As Lucas fouls to the first 3 corners. I don't think Lucas really cares, but as he knows that's going to happen. As we see a Van go up to P4 ahead of LS3, also on young tyres as well. What's the gap between? Well, the gap is 2.5, but what's the penalty situation for both of them in P3 and P4? It's 6 seconds for Van, 3 seconds for Khatikas. So it basically cancels each other out, doesn't it? If Van's got fresher tyres, but more penalties, Khatikas got younger, older tyres, but less penalties. So there's a cancellation there between the two. But what's going to be the benefit towards the end of the Grand Prix? Is it new tyres? Is it less penalties or more penalties? Who knows? The Red Bull struggling in the background there. LS3 who goes slightly wide in towards the double right-hander, just struggling and having troubles staying on the track as well. And Kevin Zumberg, he's 3 seconds behind. Is the Dutchman just catching him at a rate of knots as well. There is absolutely nothing he can do. Hudson Lucas down. He keeps pushing every single lap, does Kevin. Kevin had a quiet race back in Imola, but he did have to deal with a safety car towards the end of the Grand Prix. But that safety car still couldn't stop him winning the Grand Prix. He went on to win that race too. What a legend Kevin is. An absolute legend, this man in P2. The only race in the season is Australia. He's finished the podium every single race he's been in so far in this season. As Kick has been overtaken by Fireblaze, he goes up into P5. And I wonder will Fireblaze catch Ivan? What's the situation? There it is. Ivan versus Khatikas with the DRS open. Ivan's got to get past immediately if it was a chance for a podium to pull away as we head down in towards turn 4, but nothing doing so there. But the Red Bull does go wide. Ivan does the switch back. He gets a better exit. Now alongside in towards the double right-hander. He gets ahead. Does he? There's slight contact. Look at that. Staying around the outside. Now having the inside line. This could get messy indeed. Only one driver can make it through there. And Khatikas was the driver who got ahead, but still under massive pressure. You don't want to go side by side through there at all because one of you is bound to go off the track. And now Fireblaze has been brought into this equation. Ivan's weaving to cover off the threat from Fireblaze behind. And Kick is joined, and LS3 is joined, and Milan's too far back. Last 6 laps are getting heated up for the battle for the podium between this squad here, this quartet, or should I make it a 5-way, because I think LS3 is joining the fight too. LS3 though is on all tyres, so he might be detached very quickly from this fight. Here comes Ivan with the DRS. Here comes Fireblaze with the DRS. Here we go on the main straight. Ivan's ahead, and Fireblaze gets ahead too for the time being. We head down in towards turn 1 we go, and let's see what the penalty situation like for the 2 ahead of us. Is it a 3-second for both of them? Oh, yeah, massive. Look at that. Fireblaze has a 10-second penalty for speed of the pit lane, as he pitted twice, and he picked up a penalty on the second round of pit stop, as Kick is side by side with the Red Bull driver, but goes deep and has a very unorthodox entry towards turn 5. But Kevin Zubberg, the man who is leading the championship, is right behind Lucas, unsettling the Williams driver, but the Williams driver knows he has no chance whatsoever. No chance. The inevitable is going to happen, and Lucas is going to have to settle for P2. But it's been a good drive from Lucas, I dare say triple free, and he's picked up no penalties at all. There's 3 drivers in this race who haven't picked up penalties. One of them is a ghost car of Eric. Here we go, on the main straight, Kevin Zubberg with the DRS and the battery as he flies past the Williams driver. He takes the lead of the Grand Prix, and like I say, he can now wave goodbye to the Williams and set off in towards the sunset here in Mexico. Kick gets ahead of Khatikas in the most unusual place, I must say, unconventional place. Wonder what happened to the Red Bull driver as Fireblaze gets ahead of a van. He puts himself into first place, but he does carry the weight on his shoulders with a 10-second penalty he has to sustain towards the end of the Grand Prix, unfortunately for the Ferrari driver. There's 5 laps left to go in this Grand Prix. I don't think Fireblaze is going to catch Lucas. My main concern for Lucas in P2 is a puncher. That's my main concern. I'm not quite sure how these tyres are holding out there in P2. It's going to be a bit precarious towards the Grand Prix. Maybe slow down as well to ensure that he doesn't pick up a puncher. But I do feel for his tyres, they must be going off the cliff. Look at that, he's lost a lot of time already. Is that rain? No, it's not rain, it's my eyes deceiving me. I saw a bit of rain there for good measure. Oh, I thought Tavis been disqualified from the race, so he is out, unfortunately. He is out of the race, so I won't finish in last place here in Mexico. It'll be Octavia. 4 laps left to go in this race. The van still putting pressure on Fireblaze. Kick is able to join the battle despite getting ahead of Khatikas, so he's been detached from these two. And these two left alone to fight to start for P3, but unfortunately not on the track. Penalties will decide this race. If a safety car came out right now, it won't affect the top 2 because the top 2 do not have any penalties. It might help Lucas on a new set of tyres, but I'm a bit nervous about Lucas at P2. Not quite sure how good those tyres are. They must be shredded to pieces right now. They must be screaming through the roof. I'm not quite sure what his tyre percentage is on, but he's still got good ERS management and still got some mighty pace. Even on old tyres, he's still he's still showing some good pace and he's not really showing any signs of weaknesses either, to be honest. It's not like the car keeps stepping out on him and he has like literally no grip at all. He's still got some good grip underneath the pedal of Lucas there. I really hope that the Williams driver can make it towards the end on the hard compound tyres. Lucas is on course for another podium here in SDN. His teammate Kick has been unlucky in the last few races. Lucas has stolen the glory, or the thunder shall I say, away from Kick this season. The champion of Kick has been on a downer, whilst his teammate has had a few podiums himself this season. Both Red Bull drivers swap places, but the tyres must be screaming there in agony. And I wonder how long it will be. Will there be a puncher for the Williams driver, or will he make it towards the Grand Prix? 20 laps is a long way to go on the hard compound tyres, even on the hards, it must be said. On this game, tyre wear is so brutal. I'm surprised Fireblaze and Ivan are not taking chunks of time out of Lucas there in P2. But regardless, if they do catch Lucas, it won't matter because the guys behind do have a penalty with a speed penalty and also a track limit violation too. All Kevin Zumberg's got to do is keep it nice and clean, to keep doing what he's doing. Very sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. I had a technical difficulty. I'm coming back right now. I'm not going to miss Kevin's victory. Not the internet going to stop me to see his spectacular victory here at the Mexican Grand Prix. Hopefully get back in time to see Kevin's win. I want to see it. Here we go, lap 35, so I'm here just in time to see the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. We just crossed the line, so I haven't missed much, have I? Hopefully not. But seems like Van's still stuck behind Fireblaze and not able to get past the Ferrari driver for the time being. As we fast through down towards turn 1. It's been a mediocre race really, nothing much has happened. It's just the strategy plays, etc. People picking up penalties left, right, centre. It's a difficult track to keep it within the white lines. Focusing. But the closest battle so far on the track is Fireblaze and Van in P3 and P4. Kevin Zumberg and Lucas. Lucas losing time still, a lot of time, but he's not going to be caught up by Fireblaze despite having a massive tyre delta between the two. Massive offset. There is nothing that Fireblaze can do to catch Lucas in second place there. Kevin Zumberg is about to run the final corner to start his final lap. Once again, Kevin Zumberg has been in control of this race from start to finish. And just like in Imola, he won. He's won plenty of times before back at the Belgian Grand Prix this season too. He's done such a middle job this season. He won back in Qatar. He won back in Saudi Arabia. He won in Belgium. He won in Imola. And he missed on a win in Australia because he wasn't there. But his teammate Finn Geerts finished in P2. And McLaren have been on the podium every single time they race this season. It's just been so controlled by McLaren this season. No one is threatening them at all. And Kevin Zumberg, ever since he joined SDN a couple of seasons ago, he looked like a contender. Made a few mistakes along the way, but ever since he's practiced, he saw things out, he tweaked the car, tweaked his driving, he managed to find solutions because it seemed like it could go wrong for Kevin sometimes. Now he's been in fine form and fashion so far, been super control. The fireworks go off in the background as he heads towards the stadium session. Kevin Zumberg is about to round the final 2 corners. And he'll see the checkered flag first. There he is, around the final corner. And Kevin Zumberg wins the Mexican Grand Prix for the 5th time this season. He has won. And what a spectacular victory for Kevin, once again, from the McLaren driver, who extends his championship lead over Fireblaze and also the Williams drivers too. Mega job from Kevin to win the Grand Prix. And Van gets on the podium as well. Another podium added towards Van's tally. McLaren scoring big once again here in Mexico. Lucas in P2. It's McLaren Williams with Fireblaze in P5 and Milan in P6 with Khatikas in 7th place ahead of his team at LS3. And the Kick Sauber finishes in 10th place and he's got a puncher 2 for good measure. How long was that? 14 laps of the midi-cup on tyres and he picks up a puncher, spins around in sympathy as the two Mercedes boys cross the line already after being a lap down. And that is the end of the Grand Prix. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. That has been it, folks. That was the Mexican Grand Prix. I know the attendance was quite low as well, so apologies about that one. I don't have Milan alongside me because he was in the race. But the next race is at the British GP, the home of F1 Motorsport. So my home Grand Prix. And I'll be back with you at the British GP next week on the 19th of September. That should be very fun indeed. And then it's the Dutch GP for everybody else's. Was reverse Dutch GP, which could be quite an interesting factor in the race, but we'll see how it goes. But for now, I'll see you all later. Goodbye for now, and it is the British GP next week on Friday. Ik spreek je later, tot ziens. Ik ga van jou.